good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. This is Aaron from Simon and Simon Art. Before we start the video on my experience in the textile industry and probably getting destroyed playing Helldivers 2, I wanted to talk about a paper company Simon and Simon Art is helping to promote. Photographers and artists looking for which print media you should use? Red River Paper has you covered. When you go to their site, you can shop depending on paper type, paper size, printer model, and enterprise. Not sure which paper works with your printer? Red River Paper can help you with that. They have a selection for those who use Canon, Epson, and HP printers. Want to buy sample papers based on what you're looking for? Red River Paper has you covered. If you're interested, click on the link in this video to head over to Red River Paper to see what they have for you. By clicking on the link through our video will help us grow our own business as well. Now let's get to why you are here and see what Helldivers 2 is all about, plus my experience in the textile field. It's going to be one of those days or stories. See you in a bit. Hey folks, happy Saturday. I hope your Saturday is going great. I hope you didn't get caught up in that snow. If you did, I hope you built a snow fort, having snowball fights, making snow castles, making snow angels, or just enjoying the snow. I know right now in New York it stopped snowing, but hey, waking up at 5 o'clock this morning and seeing all that snow on the ground was something I was not expecting to see. I know earlier I said we were playing Helldivers. Apparently the servers with Helldivers was full, so decided to move over to Elite Dangerous. Haven't played this in a while, and I figured, hey, let's see some space missions and whatnot, and see what's going on here. Now, as you know, the topic of this one is called How I Got Into the Textile Industry. But before we go into that, I want to mention that we are back to going live every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This time around, Ardlee will be doing the next episode. She'll be doing this next episode and maybe the episode after that. I'm not too sure. We'll see how this one goes. She'll be doing a nice watercolor segment for this episode for tomorrow. This will actually go up either tonight or maybe tomorrow morning, so it'll be Sunday. Also, visit our store, simonandsimonart.com. The link to the description to our store will be placed at the bottom of the link will be placed with this video, so you can go check that out. Also, but other than that, let's go to the topic of why you're here. How did Mr. Simon, that's me, get into the textile industry? Well, actually, it's actually quite funny, because I went to school of visual arts to be a cartoonist and illustration, but of course, when you start to get out, you need another job, so at least you can buy your supplies and everything else. So, what I ended up doing was we had a family friend that lived across the street, and the lady worked at this shower company where they developed showers and tabletops for like places where they sell at. So they would just put the shower curtains in Target or Kmart or Kmart, Target, and other places where you would buy a shower curtain. They also did tabletops. When I got the job, of course, I was young. There was a lot of things I didn't know. One being how to be a color separator, how to separate a pattern into the different colors. And how to put a pattern into repeat. So that was my first job in the textile industry, about how things operate. A lot of it was just on the go, on the floor training. I worked there for 2 years. Starting out there was a lot of downs and then some ups. I think a lot of it was based off me because, you know, I had to learn how to slow down, take it easy, how to do everything. My experience in this place was, one, the number one thing is how to treat people. And I'll explain that as we go along. One, how to treat people. Two, don't be afraid to learn something, especially if you don't know what it is. Even with jobs, you can always learn how to do something. It's always, you're never going to stop learning. If you stop learning, that means that you have nothing in value to bring also. So never stop learning. Right now I'm just trying to find a job where I don't have to kill like 20-something people just to complete a job. Because that's the one thing about this game, is that they want you to kill 27 ships for one mission, and I'm like, well, no. just give me a job where, okay, we want you to go over here and look for some pirates and stuff like that. Seek and destroy 9 ships. Nah, not that interested. 10 ships? Nope. Ugh. I don't understand why I hate playing this game sometimes. Okay, we'll go with this guy. Let me do this first. Right, and you know how to treat people, how to also work with people. Know that everyone has strengths and weaknesses, but also don't take workers for granted. I also learned the ins and outs of Photoshop and Illustrator and Corel Painter. No, my fault. It's Corel Photo Paint. Yeah, Corel Painter, Corel Photo Paint. It was they had Corel Draw, I believe, is what we used over there. And oops, okay. And how much? And it was interesting, but now the cons is, you know, that was the cons. There were some great people that I worked with, and then you had some people that you were like, what the hell? But now here comes
landing gear retracted.
Working. I guess since I was the new guy and I was very young, let's just say, okay, let me throw this question at you. When you ever introducing people, right? You introduce them. You know, if you're a boss, like if you have a team of people, you say, hey, this is such and such, such and such, such and such, such and such. But in my case, they would bypass me. Oh, this is such and such, such and such, such and such. And I'm sitting there going, okay, so
under attack.
You're not under attack. Who's attacking? So there was never, it was like, sometimes it would be like, oh, you know, move along. Though it wasn't like move along, it'd be like, I wasn't there. And that happened a lot of times. So one day, you know, at this point, I'm engaged to Ardlee, and you know, I'm looking at the pay where I'm getting paid, and I'm like, I think I can do better somewhere else. But then, you know, I had a nice talk with my boss, and I said, hey, you know, where's this going? I had to ask him. Like, and he goes, what do you mean? He goes, well, you know, at the time they bought a heat transfer printer, they were buying all this stuff. And he goes, well, listen, this is what's gonna happen. We're gonna move you into this room. Now, mind you, I'm in a room by myself. So that means I'm gonna be in a room by myself, not really talking to anybody.
Speed restrictions are now lifted. Flight control out.
And you're
Frame shift drive
going
charging.
to manage everything. If people need printouts of whatnot, you're just going to hand it to him. He goes, listen, your skill set is like at the bottom, the way you design stuff, and everyone else is at the top. And I'm
4,
like,
3, 2,
what does that
1.
mean?
Engage.
I'm just going to be in this room by myself and be forgotten. That's what it felt like to me. I'm just going to be locked in a room, be forgotten, and then that's going to be that. I said, okay. So,
Mission objective detected.
I remember
Incoming
talking
mission critical
to Ardlee
message.
about it, and I was like, hey,
Fuel scooping.
this is how I feel. What do you think? She said, well, what do you want to do? I said, honestly, I want to quit. There's
Fuel
no,
scooping complete.
to me, there's no reason to be here if all I'm going to do is do X, Y, and Z, And if I'm not going to be moving anywhere, and this is how they think of me, I wonder if this is the guy trying to get me. So I'm caught in an addictor. So someone's trying to pull me out. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna succumb because I want to know if this is the guy I'm hunting. And if it is, that's good enough for me. Yeah.
Under attack.
But, so Ardlee goes, what do you want to do? I says, you know what, I really want to do because it doesn't make sense for me to be somewhere and not be appreciated. So, we would get married, but, also get married like a couple of months. So she goes, well, I guess you quit when you worried about it then.
Target shields offline. Scan detected.
So what ends up happening, it's lunchtime, I shut off my monitor, my computer, and then how a friend of mine says, that is the best way to do a job. I said, yeah, because I don't feel respected.
Incoming mission critical message.
I was
Target
like,
destroyed.
as I am
Landing gear deployed.
as I was talking with Ardlee about it, I was like, yeah, I'm not really feeling appreciated at this job, It's like, it felt that...
Cargo scoop deployed.
It felt that I wasn't being really thought about, and whatnot. So it was just one of those things where I was like, all right, you know what, we're going to... So I left a note saying I quit, went home and whatnot. Of course, that was the day where we got our car, a PT Cruiser, and it came in. Which to me, I was like, oh, that's something. I wasn't expecting that. And I said, don't mind me, I'm trying to see if I can grab this, and it's not easy. And I was like, all right, you know what? Since I'm not appreciated, I left and I never looked back. Of course, I didn't have nothing to worry about because that was like my first job. Well, my first job in this industry. Of course, during that time, I had interviewed for another job, but I didn't get it. They went with someone else. And then one day I got an email from the job I interviewed at. And the guy said, hey, would you be willing to come to work for us? It didn't work out with the previous person. I said, yeah. And now there I was doing almost the same thing I was doing at my previous job, but now with this job, this was a heat transfer place where they would print the paper. They would print the patterns on paper, and then heat transfer it onto fabric, various fabrics. Whereas my old place where they did shower curtains, we would print it on vinyl, on the vinyl, to be made for shower curtains. So that's how that worked out there. With this place, I was doing more of putting patterns into repeat instead of creating new patterns, and then separating them. So in this place, they would buy the artwork, and then we would just put the patterns in repeat. And that's the one thing I hate about this. Trying to do this. Trying to get the loot! I know they said there's a ship that can... the only thing is I don't have a link collector, so if I had a link collector, I can get it, but I don't know if I can fit it with this one. With this ship, I would have to buy another ship that has more hard points, especially for the collectors, I believe. And I gotcha. So with that place, it was, like I said, heat transfer.
Cargo scoop retracted.
And what would happen is that I would then put the patterns to repeats. Let's see here. Okay. I'm curious. What can we find? What's here? And then put the patterns to repeat. Now, it was at this place, the department I worked in, it was actually pretty good. I have to say, the people that I worked with over the 7 years there, we were all pretty good. Some came and went, and everything else. We always try to make it. My boss always tried to make things laugh, and and try to keep the energy going, because we were always under constant, like, we had to have things done very quickly, and for the studio, so they can do their color work and everything else. Come on. Let's see. What do we have here? I want to find resource extract low. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find somewhere where we can go shoot some bad guys. Hazardous resource. That's close by. Oh, you can always find stuff in an asteroid belt.
Scan detected.
Oh.
Cannot comply.
Who's scanning me?
Frame shift charge detected.
So we would, always lighten it up. It was a busy place. Had some great people to work with. Not some great people. Sometimes I didn't like working with due to
Frame shift drive charging.
Aspects, especially how they
4,
treat people.
3,
I want to say this first. Never worked at a place where people scream at you. They don't have a physical conversation, but there's like always some sort of yelling. That's not cool. Definitely not cool. It's just it destroys morale. It just makes people, also don't backstab people, don't belittle people. Don't be an a-hole. And there was a time when that happened a lot there, and sometimes I would walk in and be like, I'm trying to get out of this place, and I'm trying to find a new job, and it was like always hard to find a new job once I got in there. So it was like 7 years of just like, well, it got bad after 3 years. Like, no, the last few years I would have to say was bad, because of just the company was going downhill. Nobody really gotten a raise in a while, and then they deduct everyone's pay. I think that last year when there was a meeting called, and you know, everyone was just getting chewed because the person in charge who was making all of the decisions was blaming everyone else. So if you're in charge and you're telling people to do this, 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 and this, and they do it, but the results are negative, whose fault is that? Is that the person? Is that the people under you, or your fault? I remember one time, you know, there was instructions about stuff that I was asked to do. So I set it up, and my boss, he looked at it. You know, we just wanted to make sure we got everything right. I said, so, you know, he looked at it, he goes, yeah, it looks like you got everything right. I said, all right, you know, just wanted to make sure. Because there was a time frame on it, and I had to basically move very fast to get it done. So one day, so after I get everything done and I send the file down to the plant, now all of a sudden the person in charge is basically saying, you did it wrong. And I was like, well, no, we followed your directions. No, you did it wrong. But how could we have done it wrong if this is what you wanted? You know? It's like one of those things like, how could I do it wrong if this is what you asked for? So there was a meeting at the mill, and you know, the person asked this person who was running the mill, hey, can you read this? I want to see because he did it wrong. He did it wrong. So the person is reading it, and he goes, hold on. He gives it to another person. That person is reading it. Then they give it to another person. That person is reading it. So he gets back to the person and says, listen, I had 7 guys read it. I looked over what Aaron did. He did what you asked. And the 7 guys said, no, you want this, the person wants this, this, and this. They go, oh, so when they looked at my file, they're like, no, he did it exactly like it was asked. So this person said, well, you're all wrong. And he says, how can we be all wrong if we all basically said the same thing? So either A, your instructions was wrong, or B, all 8 of us, because including you put me in there, don't know what we're talking about. So I was like, huh? So yeah, it became a mess. But after that whole thing where this person pretty much destroyed the mood of the office, like, you're talking about someone who tanked who literally destroyed the morale of the office. Literally destroyed the morale of the office. I know one person was gone within a month. Because of that issue, I was like, you know what? I am not going to the office. I basically told everybody of mine, I'm not going because I'm not dealing with that BS. Why would I want to go somewhere and hang out with this person who literally blamed me and everyone there for the bad business, but we're following your orders? There was one time where this one lady actually had gotten us business, and what happened? She got it taken away from her, and this lady pretty much taped the meeting, from my understanding, from what I was told. Here, there, whatnot, you know, you sit there, you're going, well, you know, those are the breaks. Of course, then, you know, then my boss one day tells me as we go in the cell, he goes, wait up, I gotta talk to you, but I want to talk to you in the elevator. So I talk to him, I said, all right, wait, we're talking, what? He goes, listen, I want you to know that tomorrow, don't say no, correction. We were in the elevator, I was with my other friend, we were both in the elevator, and he says, my boss tells me, don't say nothing but they're laying you off and these two other people. Now, mind you, the other person they laid off, we're the two experienced color separators there. So we're like, okay, he's telling me this. I'm like, all right, you know, understandable. This is not doing too well, and you know, I was like tired of that
Frame
face
shift
anyways.
drive charging.
I was like ready just to like go because I was just done. And I was talking to my buddy in the elevator as we're going down. I was telling him he was literally pissed because he says, "How the hell they go?" He goes, "What?" I go, "Hey man, those are the breaks." Of course, I end up coming back like maybe a month later to do some freelance work while I'm still looking for a job. But I ended up getting a new job anyways. I think I was out of work for I ended up getting a job I think within 4 months, a new job. But of course I had to go to Jersey for that, but that'll be a different story. That'll be a continuing story. But what are some of the things I've learned working at this job? Well, for one, I learned a new program, AV8 CAD. I learned how to color separate using that program. I mean, AV8 CAD, and I know they just made it better every time, is a good program to use for color separating work, CAD work. If you're in the textile industry, if you're in the fashion industry, that's good if you're doing colorways. It's just a very well thought program dedicated to the textile industry. So if you're a business owner and you're looking to and you're in the textile field looking for a program, AV8 CAD, I would say, is the program for you to use. But before you think about getting it, make sure your studio's using nothing but Macs, and it's up-to-date Macs, because they're only for Macs, not PCs. So that's the only thing about that, about using that program, is that it's only for Macs only. You know, I built a great commodity of people I work with, coworkers. Like I said, a buddy of mine, we've hung out a couple of times. So whenever but he lives all the way upstate New York. Whenever he's down in Manhattan, or he's going to be in Manhattan, we'll meet up and have some beers, talk about his kid. I'll talk about my kid. We just talk about stuff, and then, you know, if we can get our other friend from Staten Island, he'll come too also, and we will just sit there and just talk, have a couple of beers. Buddy of mine, he might even end up. Let's see if I can get rid of that thing. He'll even end up have us do shots of vodka as we're having beer also. Why can't, you know what? Let me get out of Super Cruise first, and then get rid of this picture of John Wayne. This notification stuff is really starting to drive me nuts. But yeah, so that was some good things about working at that job. Also, the fact that my wife, Ardlee, didn't work. I can walk over to her where she works and sometimes have lunch, sometimes meet up with her, and we'll take the train home, or if we're going out afterwards, we would just go out. And that was fun. All that stuff was fun. The bad side now. There was a lot of not being accountable for stuff. Like, there were times when things would come up. Like I said, someone had an account stolen from them just as they worked so hard getting things together. You had one person who it's like not
Scan detected.
who would talk at you, it's like they would talk at you, not to you. Especially when they were just following your directions. You know, so if I'm following your directions and you're talking at me but not to me, yeah, it could be a problem, because you're sitting there you know, you probably getting up at 5:36. You probably have kids. You know, you have to take your kids to school. What's this? Where's that? Oh, my shit. Are you? Nope. You're clean. And on top of that, it was just the downright screaming, or the downright just like, okay, we have a problem. How can we fix it? That type of stuff, you know? Here we go. So you see those things over there where the people are shooting at? That's where we want to be. So that means it's probably pirates. So it was a lot. It was like, you know, just, hey, you know, don't be always screaming. Don't always, you know, just talk, you know, and just say, hey, what seems to be the issue? What seems to be going on? You know, I'm that type of person. Like, yeah, let's work together and make things better. You know, I never liked arguing with people or doing things to make someone feel down. You know, that, to me, that's... See, I'm just sitting here trying to find if someone's wanted. No, alright. I'm gonna find something. But, yeah, you know, you want to make sure that, you know, you just treat people with respect. That's all I'm gonna say.
Target destroyed.
Because in the end, you never know who's gonna be your boss later. You never know how your reputation in the industry is gonna be. Because just being an a-hole, it gets around. You know, it gets around a lot. People tend not to want to work with you. People tend not to want to do business with you. I remember one time when I was talking to my buddy after the
Scan detected.
the job move, the studio hired someone, and like that, a couple of hours, that person left and said, nope, I'm not coming back, I quit. And I was like, well, that tells you something. If the person's doing that, then that means that, hey, that's not good. Especially if they're going, yo, you're kidding me, right? So that's one of the cons about working at places. Like, it was just all around bad. I can understand people's mood also, because I mean, they were even on the news once for not paying their workers.
Friendship drive charging.
I was like, what? And they were like, yep. I was like, jeez. You know, if I understand it, I think they still had back pay. I think I still had back pay. I never got paid.
4, 3, 2.
I was like, but we moved on from there. My next job, like I said, going to working with my job in Brooklyn. I mean, my fault. My job in Jersey.
Fuel scooping.
Like I said, now this job in Jersey, I would have to say, you know, I was there for 7 years before COVID hit, and then like many other people, you know, you lost your job and everything else. It's nobody's fault. Everyone was pretty much was in the same boat. But before we get to that, it was good. I actually can say I finally found a place where I was actually working with adults. Nobody was screaming at one another. And if there was a problem, hey, you know, we have a problem. How can we fix it? Well, what happened? Well, this is what happened. Blah, 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 blah. And it could have been a problem that no one's never heard about. Oh, yeah. That's great. You know, we can do, we have a meeting to figure out how can we do it. We'll make a standard operating procedure about what to do with everything. It was perfect. I had people come to me asking me, "Oh, you can do this?" I was like, "Yeah." And I was helping people out. Everyone was happy that I was able to do different things. Everyone was happy with the fact that I can do a lot of things. And it was because of my past experiences, me working with things. This was the first job I had where I was the only designer. And so that means I had to come with my A game because we did custom. Now I'm a custom designer. Now I'm doing custom work. So pretty much these will probably be like one-offs. Someone wants a design that they're bidding with a hotel. I would look at what it is, go over it with my boss, and we would come up with the game plan. I would set everything up. I was like I said, I was creating artwork. I was having it set up to go for printing. I was setting designs up for screen printing because we had a screen printing department or a sampling department that was handling that stuff. It was like I was happy. Granted, the downside to it though is that I would have to wake up by 5:30 to make sure I was at Port Authority by 6:30 so I can catch the bus. So I can grab something to eat and catch the bus. Because it would be so early in the morning I wouldn't eat. So I had to make sure that I can grab something to eat, take it with me on the bus, and then that'll be that. Sometimes I would have my lunch with me if I can fit it in my bag. I would have it in another bag, and I had to make sure that, okay, Aaron, don't forget you have your lunch in this bag.
Cleared for landing on docking bay
You know.
1-5.
And you
You
don't
are
forget
clear
it.
for automated approach, Commander.
Because I actually did lose a Tupperware. Like I'm running for the bus, I get on, see, wait, where's my Tupperware? It ripped out of the bag, and I was like, oh, well, it's a good thing there was nothing in there, you know. So that was the good thing. So that was good. So I wasn't too worried about that. But there were times when I had to drive. There were times when I was driving, I would drive like 2 or 3 times, and I was starting driving every day if I had to go pick up the kids from daycare. Because at that time I was leaving like at 4:30, which was also good because I started my hours early and left at 4:30. You know, I would go catch the bus, or I would leave. If I drove, I would leave early. I'll still leave at 4:30 and go pick up my kid. Of course, that all changed when they wanted everyone leaving at the same time. I'm fine with that. But it was pretty good. There was a little, it was fun. The Christmas parties was fun. The summer picnics was fun. Sometimes we'd go out
Contact.
to
Commence system shutdown.
bars, and we would just sit around and hang out. It was fun. I have to say, it was awesome. I can say this is the one job. Of course, I have to fix it because when I was firing my guns, I realized my machine guns were also firing at the same time. Primary fire, check. Secondary fire, check. Okay. Alright, so it is set. Alright. Fly. Exit. Reset. So, yeah, it's like one of those weird things. So, another thing, and also, I got to do, when we had clients come in, do presentations about what I did, and I got to interact. And some of these people I still talk to at my new job. Actually, I saw 3 of them one day. One day I saw they came in and they're like, oh yeah, and I remember them. And actually, one person who did business with us actually works at my new job. When I went to this trade show, I saw one person that we dealt with at this one company, and when he saw me, so I was working, he goes, "Good for you." And he says, "I'm glad you got on your feet and you work and the people you're working with, they'll take care of you." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." I said, "It's been great." The con, there really wasn't any, really, because we all came in, we all did our work. It was a very relaxed place before COVID hit. But when COVID hit, of course, nobody knows what's going on. They started shutting down companies. The country was basically telling companies to shut down, just stop the spread. And of course, I was doing some work at home from time to time, and then all of a sudden, I was told I was going to be furloughed. But my insurance was good because I was furloughed in, I want to say May, but they say they paid out my insurance up until October, so I thank them for that. I thank them for at least keeping my insurance up until October for me and my family. It was rough, I have to say. I'm glad those no. I was furloughed a little bit early in the year. Then we had those stimulus checks from, I want to say, no, I was furloughed. Later, I was furloughed. I used up the rest of my vacation and sick days for X amount of time. I went on unemployment, and that's when the government had added extra money to everyone's employment check, which also helped out because I had to pay bills, had to make sure things were running and everything else. So, that was good. And then I got laid off in June, which I was like, all right, nobody's hiring. What am I going to do? This sucks. I have to find a job and whatnot. So then one day, I bumped into a friend of mine, and we were talking and everything else. She says, New York City Schools is hiring. This is where the detour hits. You're like, wait a minute, I thought he was working as a textile industry. Yeah, but now I'm going to do a little thing where I work as a New York City teacher. Now, I'll get into that in another video. Right? But let's just say for at least 2 years, I was a substitute teacher. I taught 7th and 8th grade. And I taught mainly 7th and 8th grade for 2 years at 2 different schools. One being the school in Brooklyn, and the other one being at my daughter's school here in Queens. It wasn't, but like I said, that's another story. I don't want to lose you. Now, my new job. Great. Still in Brooklyn, still in New Jersey. I don't know why I keep saying Brooklyn. Still in New Jersey, a little bit further out. This place is great. I'm working with my old boss from my first job in Jersey. So she had called me up while I was teaching. She goes, "Hey, you looking for work?" I was like, "Well, yeah." I'm teaching now, but I can always, I'm always up for stuff. So she goes, "Well, you want to come for an interview?" So I said, "Sure." So I'm going for the interview, not realizing how far this place is. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, wow, this place is far, right? So, and then I get there, and I was like, oh, okay, we talk. They like me. Next, 3 weeks before the school year ended, I ended up getting a job. And they said, well, if you want, would you mind being a hybrid since you have to travel so far? I said, yeah, I have no problem doing the hybrid thing. That's the only one reason I took that job, because of the hybrid program. I could work from home 2 days. I drive out to Jersey for 3 days. Not too bad. Let's see. Should I go for the full 6 or reputation? What's my reputation with these guys? It's neutral. Sometimes I'd rather go for the reputation because it could benefit. Yeah. Well, I don't know you guys, so I gotta go with this cartel of Nina. So we ain't dealing with cartels because I'm not doing black market stuff. And pretty much doing the same thing, but I was doing custom design work in one part of it. Now I moved over to where my old boss is now. Now I'm doing studio work. Still doing a little bit of color separation for gravure work. So if I forgot that when I say color separation we do is when you're doing color separations for gravure work. So that's when you're having copper cylinders being engraved. At this place I'm working at now, it's both copper cylinders and digital work. So everything's printed on digital machines, which isn't bad. It's like when I was working at that job in Brooklyn, digital printing machines were just coming onto the scene, but they were still being worked on, like R&D development. Like I know my old boss from there and the owner, they went to see one, and the guy said, they asked him, he says, hey, can this be printed on vinyl? So they end up taking some vinyl rolls over there. They go, you know what, we don't know. And from what I understand, they actually had fire extinguishers ready to be blasted on the machine just in case the vinyl caught on fire, because it used UV light, and I guess the heat from the UV light, they wasn't sure if it was going to melt the vinyl. So from what I understand, it came out, it wasn't too bad. They said, you know what, we might want to start developing this, because they developed it for fabrics and not for vinyl. Now when it comes to wall covering, they use a lot of they do more vinyl. I never heard of a wall coloring company actually using a fabric, so that would be interesting if they do use fabrics for printing. But most ones I've looked at and felt has always been like a vinyl. For the other two companies, but have always been vinyl. My previous job, they did the one in Manhattan. They did paper to fabric. The one in Brooklyn did vinyl, and they also did for fabric. So they had a heat transfer, but the printing for there was overseas. At that time, when it comes to the textile industry, for a lot of, if you're watching and you've been in there, in the towards the late 90s and the early 2000s, a lot of these companies were going overseas because it was cheaper. So a lot of these printing mills shut down because of it. If I was to actually work in one of those printing mills, I would probably have lost my job. I would probably have found a new one if I was a designer, but all in all, it kind of sucks when you're working at a job and you get laid off. So I've quit one job, been laid off twice. So far, I'm at my current job and everything seems to be going well. Overall, with my experience, I've learned that number one, treat everyone kindly. Number two, you work with the team. So just as you depend on your team depends on you, and always talk things out. Don't be that person where you feel that you can one up someone, because I've seen that enough times where I'm like, there's no reason to try to one up someone, especially when they're trying to bring you business and trying to help build up the business. I've seen too many times when people people in charge just sabotage stuff because they just want to sabotage stuff. It's just never made sense to me. So with that being said, that's my experience as a textile designer. I will do a video of my experience as a New York City substitute teacher later on, because I think you're going to find that funny, especially how when they say, well, teachers in New York City are why you understand why teachers in New York City are upset. Trust me, you'll understand. But all in all, I want to quit this real quick. But first, I'm going to respond to this. Where's my...
Access to docking facilities requires flight control authorization. Please submit a
Wonder why I
request
can't
before
respond
entering the
to...
docking bay.
Hold on. Anyways, never mind. I'm gonna quit this. Alright. So that was me playing Elite Dangerous for a little bit. And I guess I'll talk to you guys later. See you soon. Don't forget, Simon and Simon Art is going back live on Sundays at 8 p.m. We may not do it every Sunday, but we're mainly going to try to do it keep it to every Sunday as best as we can. So at least this way, we can keep you guys entertained with our craziness. And that's that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.